April 23rd, Planetary Calendar 214. 4 days have passed since the JFS Gun-Dog departed on its mission to rendezvous with the JFS O'Brien. In that time, her crew, including Lieutenant Fox Sly, have fallen into the easy rhythm of life aboard the ship. Even as the Gun-Dog enters the outer limits of Jovian space and is due to meet the O'Brien, there is little time for the crew to do, and a general sense of routine permeates the atmosphere. There's little for the crew to do, and a general sense of routine permeates the atmosphere. Outer Jovian space, aboard the Jovian patrol ship JFS Gun-Dog. You're just finishing the last of your coffee as a shrill series of electronic pips begins sounding from your wristwatch. Without looking to check the time, you turn off the alarm and rise from your seat, knocking back the last of your drink once you've stood up and taking the empty cup back to the food vendor. It's easy to lose track of time on board a military ship where the light is kept at a constant level, so you rely on a series of alarms you programmed. You know that this one means your shift is due to start in a few minutes, giving you time to finish whatever you may be doing. Place the cup back into the vendor, the machine latches onto it and then retracts it into a space that is quickly sealed by a sliding panel. As the sound of muffled whirring begins, you turn back to face the empty mess hall. Time to carry out the day's security checks then. Let's see. You need to stop by fire control, the hangar, the engineering to check that everything is going as it should. So we have a few tasks we have to do. Visit engineering, visit fire control, and visit the hangar. We might get some stuff from other places. But for the most part, yeah, let's just go to where we need to go. I did say engineering. There's a bridge. Lieutenant Fox Sly entering main engineering. You declare to the cavernous expanse of machinery and access ways that make up the engineering section. You've been instructed to announce your arrival by the chief, and since last time you didn't, she nearly dropped a filtration unit on you to prove a point you made sure not to forget. Access ways clear. No visible detritus, nothing seems to be malfunctioning. You stop midway through your visual checks, and no one's throwing heavy machinery off the higher levels to teach me a lesson in proper conduct. It doesn't take long for you to finish your daily checklist. The chief runs a tight ship that you don't really expect anything less. Now that you think about it though, she hasn't given you your daily grilling about how insulting it is that you think these daily checks are necessary in the first place. Chief, you here? Up here, Lieutenant. Chief, are you around? Damn it, Lieutenant, I'm up here. That's weird. It's not like the chief to not be at her assigned duty station. To tell the captain. Damn it, Lieutenant, I'm up here. Look up, you idiot. Looking up, you see the chief engineer leaning dangerously across the safety rail of a walkway a few levels above you. Behind her is a mass of cabling that's pouring out of an open panel above her. Oh, Chief, good morning. Good morning yourself. I've been calling back to you this whole time. You forget to clean out your ears or something? Sorry, Chief. It's pretty loud in here. Nothing in here is running above a safe decibel limit, and if you tell me otherwise, I'll come down there and recalibrate your ears. You quickly mentally calculate the time it would take for her to get down to where you are and the time you need to get out of her engineering. Although you fancy your chances, you wouldn't bet money or your ears on it. Must be me then. Anyway, I'm just filling out the daily report. Chief, what's going on up there? One of those clowns at the colony dock who took part in the maintenance process must have done something stupid to the long-range communication systems. For the past 12 hours, we've been picking up huge amounts of feedback. It must have made a bad connection, but I can't find it in all the shoddy wiring. Are you sure there's nothing out there that could be sending a signal? A broadcast from the O'Brien? One of our reconnaissance satellites? No chance. This feedback is way too intense. Even a standard broadcast shouldn't produce this much noise. Unless maybe they calibrated the long-range system on the shortwave bands. In that case, the sensitivity would be off, so it would... Chief? Huh? Oh yeah, like I was saying, there's nothing around here that should be kicking out a signal with this kind of capacity. It's like it's picking up something with an amplitude and frequency 10 times higher than our standard equipment. Which could be the result of a processor loop. Maybe I should check out the initial conversion driver next. Okay, well in that case, Chief, I'm gonna let the captain know, okay? Huh? I'll put that in my report for the captain, alright? Oh, yeah, sure. I was gonna let her know when I'd fixed it. Those dolts have done a real number on this, so it's gonna be longer than I thought. Alright, thanks for the heads up. Guess we can talk to her again. Oh, Chief, one more thing. Are the issues with the long-range communication systems going to interfere with standard maintenance? Do I need to follow up with operations to get you some support? Depends on how badly those idiots back at Europa have fouled things up. Normally, something like this should be a quick wiring fix, but you can't trace back the fault. Ugh. Although, maybe the problem isn't with the wiring around the receiver. They could have crossed wires on the broadcast hardware. Yes or no, Chief? Oh no, today's scheduled maintenance is pretty light, so Dalton should be able to take care of it. He's not scheduled to report to me until later, though. When you get to the hangar, tell him to pack up his project and get over here on the double, you hear? Loud and clear, Chief. Alright. Now we're gonna go to fire control. Move to fire control, yes. You still feel a little bit awkward checking fire control as part of the security report. Although Dylan is always friendly enough, you can't help but feel like you're intruding on this personal sanctuary. Doesn't help that his headphones are so big that, short of shaking him, it's hard to get his attention. Well, here we go. Morning, Lieutenant. How's it going? Oh, hey, Dylan. Everything all right? Thought you'd be listening to your music. You're a pretty punctual guy, Lieutenant, so far you come by here exactly the same time every shift. All I had to do was find which albums would last just until before you got here, and now I don't need to get interrupted mid-jam. That's pretty impressive. Aren't you gonna get bored of listening to the same albums every morning, though? Nah, don't worry about it. I figured out about 15 different album combinations, and that's not including changing the order of play, so I'm good for this mission. Speaking of the mission, you know the drill. Anything usual? Unusual? Nothing at all, Lieutenant. Not even a scrap of debris. I've been keeping an eye on the long-range targeting systems too, and we've had a blip, but the energy readings match the O'Brien, which makes sense. Yeah, I thought so. We're so deep in Jupiter's backyard that I don't think we'll be seeing anything at all aside from the O'Brien. Pausing for a moment as you idly shift your focus from one screen to another, a flicker on one screen catches your attention. What was that? Sir? The screen here just flickered. What did the reading say? Oh, that's a long-range targeting system. It's fed with data from the long-range communication system, which has been on the first recently. Chief's been working on it, trying to figure out where all the feedback's coming from. Huh. Chief mentioned she was having issues. I didn't know it impacted targeting. That's the kind of thing you should be filling me in on, Gunner Dees. If our targeting systems aren't operating properly, I need to make sure the captain knows. My bad, sir. Since Chief said she was on the case, I figured it was all in hand. Well, let me know next time. That's it, though? Nothing else? None at all. All right, keep it up, Gunner Dees. Yes, sir. I'll do it one more time. What's going on, Lieutenant? Listen to that Trish and the Replicants album you lent me the other day. It's pretty good. Oh, hey, nice. If you're into it, I've got a few other albums I can lend you. Ever heard of Firebombing? They're making Macross references here, dude. Oh, you gotta love it. And Trish and the Replicants is a Bubblegum Crisis reference. God, this game is so full of references. I love it. I was wondering if you had something a little bit less rock? What were you thinking? Oh, I really like Lynn, more Macross references. Lynn Minnie May song they were always playing back on Europa before we left. You have anything like that? Lynn Minnie May? That overproduced twee stuff? Come on, sir. Next you'll be telling me you want to listen to a whole album of Princess Maria ballads or something. I mean, no way, sir. Come on. You're listening to Firebombing next and that's it. All right, okay. You have to take me next time you pass by my quarters. Princess Maria? Who can have taste in music like that? All these references, oh my God. This is definitely a me game. Yeah, Princess Maria. I'm trying to figure out who that's a reference to. I don't think that's another Macross reference. And the hangar. I'm forgetting where the hangar is. There we go. All right, the hangar. Let's see. Although you take the first few stairs normally, by the time you reach the hangar's entrance, you're skipping almost every step. Gliding through the door onto the catwalk, you grab the railing and heave yourself over it. As you continue to float lazily through the wide open space of the hangar, you start your visual checks. Walkways clear, access points marked, munitions stowed, all the equipment and supplies seem to be where they should be. You casually shift your weight to one side of your body, causing you to begin spinning slowly. As you rotate, the glare from the hangar lights reflect off an armored frame's camera lens, almost as if it was watching you. Quickly dismissing the thought, you turn your attention back to your duties. Eventually, you arrive at the other end of the hangar where you plant your feet in the thick steel of the main door. From this angle, you take in everything that you may have missed, including Dalton, who you can see in amongst the storage units, his attention fixed intently on a collection of parts in front of him. Cadet Dalton, attention! Junior engineer suddenly snaps to attention the second he hears your call, inadvertently launching the pair of pliers he was holding out into the open space of the hangar. Without gravity to stop them, they continue to sail through the air. At ease, Cadet. You time your launch from the door exactly to allow yourself to grab the pliers as you float over to the startled cadet. I believe these are yours, Cadet? Sir, thank you. I didn't realize you were... Relax, Dalton. I'm just doing my rounds. I'm not here to check up on you. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Is there anything I can help you with? Just the usual. Everything okay in here? Haven't noticed any mechanical failures? Everything working how it should? Any suspicious activity? Nothing to report, sir. Just been working on my project. Ever since Lieutenant Commander Quinn assigned Ensign Crwys to the filter cleaning, it's given me a bit of extra time to finish things up. Oh yeah? That's your high density foam that sets rock hard, right? How's that going? That's right. It's good. It's good. I'm hoping to get the chance to test it soon. These containers are full of the compound. I'm just about to try transferring it into some empty training rounds, you know, the ones normally filled with paint. Ones that the armor-frame pilots use in practice combat to show when they've hit each other. The compound's stored under pressure where it remains a liquid. When removed from that pressure, it expands quickly, and with the rapid expansion, it sets. If I've got this right, then we can test it by firing the practice rounds at dummy targets. When the casing is destroyed, the compound should activate. Good news. Well, there's nothing I need to know. I'll head out. Let me know if you see anything out of place. Yes, sir, I will. One more thing. The chief's having some trouble with the communication system, so she wants you over there on the double to pick up today's maintenance. Oh, yes, sir. You turn to leave, but you pick up on something unsaid hanging in the air between the two of you. Is it everything, Cadet? Oh, well, that's, Cadet? It's nothing. Don't worry about it. If you're sure, Cadet. All right, that's all the routine checks carried out. I'll report to the captain. Now, let's look around. Juno modeled armor frames, remarkable for being totally unremarkable. These do have some slight differences to the ones that were around during the war, but they're basically the same machine. Let's talk to Dalton again. He seemed like something was off. Dalton, what were... Slow down, Cadet, it's me. Oh, sorry, sir. I didn't realize you were still here. Don't worry about it. Anyway, got something on your mind? What are we gonna ask? Oh, it's nothing, sir. Don't worry about me. Come on, Dalton. It's not exactly like I'm rushed off my feet to doing security rounds. What's up? Well, if you're sure. The chief wants me to head over to engineering to help with maintenance. I'm right at a critical part of the process to decant the compound into the training rounds. If I stop now, I'll have to stow all my equipment, so I'll be late anyway, and then I won't have any time, and then it'll be... I guess we can help, Dalton. I don't know if this seems like a... And I can't save now. Doesn't seem like too important of a decision, so we'll help him out. Say no more. I'll take care of it. You will? I mean, are you sure, sir? Don't even worry about it. If it's something I can help with, then I'll lend a hand. If I can't, well, I'll cover for you. Don't sweat it. Thank you, sir. The extra time, I should be able to get these rounds ready for testing before the next AF drills. Thank you. No problem. Get back to it. If the chief thinks you slacked off for nothing, then you'll know about it. Thank you, sir. I'll get right on it. There's a problem with this and show up on diagnostics that are fed through to the bridge. All you need to do is a quick visual check. Everything looks fine. Tools, equipment, and supplies. Chief keeps a close eye. Everything's stored properly, and Dalton works to her high standards. Don't see anything wrong with it now. Everything looks in order. Some of these containers hold the compound that Dalton's been working on, but he keeps his work environment so tidy. Wouldn't be able to tell you which. See if I can use it. No, we can't use it. This model of Juno has a simulation mode installed to the main computer. If I wanted to, I could spend some time in there and... Who am I kidding? There's a lot of tools and equipment here, but nothing I need. Talk to the chief in engineering. Yeah, I did promise, so we'll go back to engineering. Oh, Chief, one more thing. Are the issues with the long-range communication system going to interfere with standard maintenance? Do I need to follow up with operations to get you some support? Depends on how badly those idiots back at Europa fouled things up. Normally, something like this could be a quick wiring fix, but I can't trace back the fault. Although, yeah, we've heard this before. Actually, Chief, now that you mention it, Dalton said he's a little busy with his project at the moment, and that stopping would throw the whole thing off. So I said I'd cover for some of the maintenance tasks. Oh, you did, huh? Yes, Chief. And you said you cover? Yes, Chief, that's right. As the silence between you and the Chief drags on, you begin to regret offering to do Dalton a favor. Now that you think about it, what exactly do you know about maintenance? Not only is the Chief going to give Dalton grief for passing off his workload, you're going to get it in the neck for, well, if he says he's at an important stage in his work, I'm not going to drag him away. He's been slaving over that project night and day. You got to admire his love for the craft. Don't let yourself relax. Thankfully, it looks like the Chief's got something of a soft side after all. I'll be able to pick things up here, but I've got one of his jobs that you can do for me. What do you need? Chief turns away from you and squats down, rummaging in her tool pack for something. The batteries in the emergency spacesuit radio packs and the airlock are due for replacement. Take these and switch them out for the old ones, okay? He casually tosses 2 battery packs towards you, which you just about catch, surprised by their heft. You got the charged batteries. Roger that, Chief. Once you got the old ones, bring them back here and plug them into the power distribution module. After that, you're free to go. Swap out the batteries in the emergency spacesuits in the airlock, then bring the old ones back here to recharge. Simple. Actually, we will save. So we're gonna go to the airlock. All right, let's see. Chief said it was the batteries in the suit radios that needed charging or changing. And when grabbing the locking mechanism on the handle on the suit's container, you twist it 90 degrees clockwise, then pull. The door offers more resistance than you expected, and once fully open, it remains in place. Reaching inside the container, you hold your left hand against the suit's rigid breast panel and grab the large black block of plastic that protrudes from the panel's left side. With a tug, the block pulls away, trailing a curling cable that keeps it connected to the suit. As you pull it away from the suit, you flip the radio over to examine it. The bottom half of the device consists of a pistol grip with a secondary microphone and speaker, allowing it to be used separately from the suit. Your thumb rests comfortably on the push-to-talk button. The top half of the unit's underside has a backlit LCD screen, showing the current frequency it's tuned to and its battery level. Below the screen sits a few ambiguous buttons. To its side is a dial for tuning and a power switch. Whilst this unit holds the main workings of the radio's receiver and transceiver, the wire that still anchors it to the suit connects it to a small microphone and speaker inside the helmet. Flipping the whole unit around to look at its underside, you see a small latch set into a recess that you pull down on with your thumb, releasing the cover and letting the old battery slide out into your palm. Old battery out. You murmur to yourself as you take it into your spare hand before sliding it into the opposite pocket from the fresh batteries. And now to put in the new batteries. New battery in. With the battery replaced, you reattach the compartment cover, which snaps back into place. Once you set the radio onto its mount on the suit's breast panel, you step back, close the suit's container door, and twist the locking mechanism 90 degrees counterclockwise. With one down, move to the other storage unit and repeat. With one down, you move to the other storage unit and repeat the process of unlocking the container, hanging the suit's radio, swapping out the batteries, and then replacing everything as you found it. Great, all done. Let's go get these back in charging and engineering. All right, going back to engineering. That's a life support system. All right, here we go. You take each battery that you remove from the suit's radio and place them into charging ports on the side of the power distribution module. They slide in and lock into place with a satisfying clunk, and a red light right above the ports lights up with an amber glow. Great, job well done. Hey, we got an achievement. Help Dalton. We did a good thing. Guess we can go talk to Dalton again. Hangar over here. God, I keep forgetting where everything is. As you re-enter the hangar and pause for a moment by the railings, you can see Dalton in the center of the area to a wide open container. The container itself is crammed full of interconnecting pipes, tanks, and other various bits and pieces of inscrutable technology. You watch as he adjusts some valves and then retrieves a cylindrical object, the size of a thermos, from a recess in the device. As he holds it up to the light, you catch his eye. He excitedly turns to face you and immediately launches himself at you. Lieutenant, great timing. Look at this. Oh, slow down there, cadet. You grab hold of his sleeve to stop him from sailing past you and crashing into the wall by the entrance. Bracing yourself on the railing, you counteract his momentum and bring him down onto the catwalk. Good news? Great news. Check this out. Dalton proudly presents the object he'd been inspecting earlier. Although at first glance, it looks like a standard 40mm round from one of the Juno's machine guns, the plastic casing gives it away as a training round that would typically be filled with paint. This feels a lot heavier than normal though, suggesting different contents. Oh hey, good job, you did it, huh? That's right, I've got the pressure right and figured out the volume of the sealant for each round. I even managed to get the training rounds to seal properly afterwards, so there's no risk of spillage. A round like this should be able to immobilize any joint on an armored frame with ease. That's great to hear, Cadet. Well done. Thank you, sir. And I've got it done so quickly without your help. Oh, was everything okay with the chief? Did she mind? What did she ask you to do? Nothing major. Just had to swap some batteries out on the emergency spacesuits. And a security officer like me can handle that. That's all? That's all. She genuinely seemed like she thought it'd be best to carry on with your project. Doesn't sound like the chief. Hey, come on. I'm sure she can be all right. Sometimes. I'm sure she was going light on us because she knew what you were doing was important. Or maybe she's just saving all my jobs from today for tomorrow's shift and will want me to work double time. Easy there, Cadet. I don't think she's that bad. Maybe. Don't sweat it, Dalton. It'll be fine. You did well today anyway. I'll finish up producing all the rounds we'll need for testing and then get this hangar shipshape. You know the chief likes it clear. Yes, sir. All right, why don't you go and give my report? Take it easy, Cadet. Yes, sir. Oh, Lieutenant? Cadet? Thanks again. I don't know when I've gotten a proper chance to do this without your help. Anytime, Cadet. Aw. Yeah, we'll save. Definitely save. We did a good thing. Now it's time to go give our report. I'm guessing we go to the bridge then. I completed the security report for today. Should I go up and give it to the captain, or should I take another look around in case I missed anything? Oh, that is a good question. Yeah, we might want to check out other places. Yeah, that might be a good idea just to see. Engine room looks normal. I guess we can go to the armory, maybe? Or sickbay. Ah, Lieutenant Sly, can I help you? No, thank you, Doctor. I'm just stopping by. For what purpose? If I can't help you, then I would have to assume you're here for some other alternative purpose. Did you intend to make small talk? No, I didn't really come here to pick up more nutritional shakes for Miss Quinn? No. On the captain's orders? No, look, as part of your routine checks? Yes, just, doing routine checks. Checking in on you. Everything okay here, Doctor? Yes. Well, let me keep you, Lieutenant. You're clearly very busy. Great, thanks. I'll just be, carrying on with my rounds then. Thanks, Doctor. I guess we can go see Cassie. Let's see, she said her passcode was her anniversary, which is 2nd of November, so that'll be 0211. You punch in the 4-digit passcode and the terminal flashes the text "access granted" whilst the door slides open. You step into Cassie's quarters, being careful not to trip up on any errant clothing. Surprise! You're announced to an empty room. Huh? I didn't think Cassie was on duty right now. Well, it gives us a chance to snoop. These are photographs that Cassie had printed after our first date at the theme park. It's a lot easier to get printed photographs on the colonies than it used to be, but they're still something of a specialty item. Most people prefer to just keep digital copies. Aww. Europa Park, November 2nd. Our anniversary is written on the back. 02/11/211. Cassie's bed, once again also serving as wardrobe. Putting clothes she throws off at night back on top in the morning is probably the closest she gets to tidying up. Considering how much stuff Cassie has balanced on this terminal, wouldn't be surprised if she does everything that she needs to on the Airlock terminal or something. Staying closed against all odds with the amount of stuff Cassie's jammed in there, it's a miracle that she got it to close at all. I got duties to be getting on with. I shouldn't hang around here for much longer. Alright, yeah, let's go to the mess hall. She's probably there. No, not here. Okay. So I guess we'll go see the captain. All right then, no sense in delaying seeing Captain Bartermews. Lieutenant Fox Sly entering the bridge. He declares, stepping from the elevator and throwing a salute. Looking around the room, you see Vanessa, who remains focused at her station, not paying you the slightest bit of attention, and Cassie, who stands from her station and comes over to you, a wide smile on her face. As you remain at attention, you notice that the captain's chair is empty. At ease, Lieutenant. Captain Bartermews isn't with us, so I'm in charge of you today. A small tut comes from Vanessa. If Cassie heard it, she doesn't show it. Oh, is that right? Come to make my report. That's right. Dr. Rosarium advised me that she's suddenly taken ill. Next, some makes another louder tutting noise. Cassie pauses for a split second, but quickly carries on. So he's ordered her to quarters for some bed rests. We're due to enter communications range with the O'Brien any moment now, and from there it's just a matter of coordinating our patrol paths. Nothing I can't handle. Right. The security report, Lieutenant. Oh yeah, of course. Clear your throat, feeling a bit awkward. Although you'd been on the ship together for the past few days, you mainly seen each other between shifts where rank didn't really mean much. Cassie acting seriously didn't really seem like Cassie at all. Security report for April 23rd, PC 214. No breaches nor hazards to report, ma'am. No sign of immediate threats or security risks to the ship herself, and all shipboard operations proceeding as expected with little likelihood of disruption. Nothing? Well, the chief has run into some feedback issues on the long-range communication systems that are impacting the visuals on the long-range targeting system. It doesn't seem to be enough to stop normal operations, though, and she's in the process of isolating the problem area to start repairs. Cadet Grange has also completed the system to load the high-density foam he's developed into the training rounds for the Juno's weapons. He's scheduled to have processed enough rounds for test in time for the next training exercises. Oh, that's great. Good for him. But that's about it. Business as usual. Here's my written report. Reach into your jacket pocket and take a hold of the written copy of your morning report, as well as a completed checklist, which you then pass to Cassie. What's up, Nove? How you doing? Once in her hand, she flicks through them casually, giving them a quick once-over. Thank you, Lieutenant. I'll get these logged. Feel free to return to your standard duties. Yes, ma'am. As Cassie turns away the documents in hand, she glances across the display screen showing the time. Vanessa, have you heard anything from the O'Brien? We're beyond the scheduled meetup window. Are we picking him up on sensors? There's nothing on sensors, Lieutenant Commander. This interference is making things easy. I'll try scanning on different frequency bands in case the O'Brien's having the same issue. Vanessa begins to flip switches and twist dials, filling the quietness of the bridge with a series of noises that range from annoying buzzes to painfully shrill screeches. After a few moments, the communication window on the main screen illuminates and a slightly distorted voice speaks. Do you read? We're at the rendezvous area and have a mission update. Please acknowledge. I repeat, this is Lieutenant Bashir of the JFS O'Brien. JFS Gun-Dog, do you read? We're at the rendezvous area and have a mission update. Please acknowledge. With Lieutenant Bashir from the O'Brien relatively clear in the communication window, Cassandra hastily grabs a microphone. Roger that, JFS O'Brien. This is Lieutenant Commander Quinn from the JFS Gun-Dog. We're picking up your signal and have arrived at the rendezvous area. Please transmit your precise coordinates. Over. We read you. That's a sweet voice you got there, Gun-Dog. I'm transmitting coordinates and mission update files now. It's good to finally... Lieutenant Bashir, do you read? Vanessa, are you still getting a signal from the... The comms are being overloaded. There's a powerful signal coming in on all bands. It's... Ugh. What the hell just happened? Is everyone okay? Commander Quinn? Commander Quinn! Cassie! Oh no. Even before your eyes adjust to the minimal lighting of the bridge, you kneel down and reach out into the darkness, trying to find where Cassie has collapsed onto the deck. You search blindly for a few seconds until your hand meets her shoulder and you move towards her. Cassie! Hey, Cassie! Say something! Cassie! Hang in there, Cassie. Lieutenant Lord, call sickbay and get the doctor up here right now. I can't. Why not? The ship's entire system has been knocked offline. Even the emergency backup systems. It's all offline. We don't have time for this. Get it back online. Rise quickly and dash over to the elevator, slamming your hand into the call button. We're going to take Cassie down to the sickbay. You can... Aside from your voice, the whole room remains totally silent. Most conspicuously absent, though, is the whirring of the elevator that would take you directly to sickbay. You rapidly press the call button in frustration. Idiot! What part of offline do you not understand? Quinn's not going anywhere until at least the backup systems are online, but that can't be done from the bridge. What do you mean? How do we get him back online? It's an emergency failsafe. If there's a critical failure with the central computer and can't function properly, then the entire ship will be shut down. Then it enters a lockdown mode until it can be rebooted. All areas are sealed in case shutdown is the result of enemy action. The main computer and engineering needs to be physically rebooted to restore any sort of access. Of course, since this is a security system, you should all know this. You grit your teeth to stop yourself snapping back at Vanessa. In the heat of the moment, all thought of process and procedure had left you completely. All you've been thinking about was getting Cassie to sickbay. Placing your head in your hand, you pinch the bridge of your nose and try to focus. That's right. But this isn't the order to reboot the central computer given from the bridge in that situation. But isn't the order to reboot the central computer given from the bridge in that situation? Why did you say we can't? 2 reasons. First of all, this lockdown shouldn't affect backup systems. But for some reason, everything seems like it's offline, which means there's no internal communication system right now. Secondly, even if we did have internal communication system, access to the central computer requires input codes which are known only by the captain. Or in the event the captain is incapacitated, a second in command. Vanessa turns to look at Cassandra, who shifts slightly. As she continues to talk, you head back to Cassie, kneeling beside her and placing her in recovery position. Then the cold steel of the floor as you turn Cassie over, you take your uniform jacket off and lay it over her, which currently would be Lieutenant Commander Quinn. Meaning that right now, both the people who know the necessary information to get the ship back up and running are out of action. There's got to be some way around all this. Weren't you listening? This isn't supposed to happen. We should have at least had the backup systems in place. Without them, there's nothing we can do except sit around and wait for the air to run out. What about the O'Brien? Can you contact them for support? Everything is offline. What part of this are you not getting? As you kneel over Cassie, your mind races through what Vanessa just told you. Now that she's right, and that all the ship's emergency action plans revolve around the backup systems being operational, and without them online, there's next to nothing that can be done within the ship. Your mind catches on that point for a moment, and you can't help but wonder whoever wrote that plan was optimistic enough that they couldn't see a situation where the backups failed, or whether they were so pessimistic they felt if those systems were out of commission, there was no real hope for the crew either. Pushing that thought out of your head, you desperately try to figure out a way to get Cassie to sickbay. There's got to be something you know about the ship that would help. In all your time you spent working as a security officer, there's got to be something that you picked up that would... That's it! In the crew quarters, the panels by the bunks can be removed and replaced. People use the space in the structure to hide contraband. What are you talking about? The ship's maintenance crawlways are accessed in the same way. If I'm right, you head back over to the elevators, but this time, instead of trying to call them, you begin to run your hands over the seams in the wall panels on either side. Eventually, you notice a gap a few inches in length. Normally, maintenance would have a special tool to access this, but you can do the same thing with... I know, I got it on me somewhere. Where is it? This thing's only for use in our situations. Shouldn't go firing it off randomly. Taking your ID card out of your pocket, you slide it into the gap in the seam until it meets some resistance when it's about halfway in. You slide it up and down a few times until you feel it stick on something, at which point you push harder. Suddenly you hear the sound of multiple catches disengaging, and the panel suddenly falls toward you. Taking the wall panel in both hands, you place it to the side where it used to be attached. Now, instead of the solid wall, you can just about make an absence large enough for someone to fit inside, with a series of rungs heading downwards into a darkness which opens up once they pass by where the elevator sits. How'd you know how to do this? This is one of the first tricks you learn as a security officer. Ship crews get very creative when they stash things. What's up, Nabe? These panels, it makes sense that the maintenance crawlways are accessed in a similar way. Well, great. Now you can crawl around the walls in the dark. Very helpful. You grit your teeth and breathe. You haven't talked to Vanessa much since you first met, but you're now beginning to understand why she always ate alone in the mess hall. Yeah. This is Stories from Soul the Gun-Dog. It's a retro visual novel, kind of like PC 98 style. Pretty good so far. If I can get up here, in here, it means I can get down in the central hub. From there, I can see if I can get the emergency input codes from the captain and make contact with the chief in engineering. Do you really think you can solve this by clambering around inside the walls? If you can make it to the central hub, the rest of the ship will... Lieutenant Lord, would you? Yeah, I'm just going to say it. Shut up already? Although the sudden outage of the ship's systems, as well as the failure of all the backups, was stressful enough, you felt on some level that you've been able to handle it. It's just a mechanical failure, something the chief was probably working on at this very moment. What you couldn't deal with was Vanessa's attitude. You goddamn right I couldn't. I get it, all right? I get it. Everything's offline. Message received, loud and clear. But I'm not going to sit around and do nothing but listen to you whine while everyone else in the ship is counting on me to do something. Not this time. Vanessa's mouth hangs open in shock as she tries to stammer out a response, but you quickly cut her off. Now, I'm going to leave you here and get this fixed. You can either sit here and wait for the air to run out or get your head out of your ass and start helping. Vanessa continues to gape at you in disbelief, completely taken aback by your outburst. Yeah, she shut up pretty goddamn quick. All right, you do that. I'll try to get the internal communication system working. Since the backup should work in a situation like this, maybe there's a way to get them back online. Get moving, or are you going to stand around and gawk while I get everything done myself? Inadvertently sigh loudly as you turn around and reach out into the crawl space, grabbing a rung and placing your foot on one lower down. Hopefully I can get things back online with the chief and the captain's help. Just look after Lieutenant Commander Quinn until then, all right? Vanessa turns away from you, continuing to adjust the inputs on the communication system. Yeah, sure. With that, you lower yourself into the darkness, taking it one rung at a time. Once you're past the stationary elevator, you can feel the space you're in open up around you. Carrying on downwards, you reach behind every so often to see if you can feel the catch system that would keep an access panel attached. After a few attempts to find it, your fingers eventually brush over a catch with some coercion, and with some coercion, you manage to get it to release, causing the whole panel to fall off the wall behind you and clatter onto the floor of the central hub. As you step out of the crawlway, a loud banging starts from nearby. You immediately reorientate yourself to face the room, placing your hand on your electroshock weapon just in case. As you scan the room in the dim lighting, the banging continues, and you realize it's not coming from anywhere in the central hub, but one of the elevators. With your hand still hovering over your weapon, you slowly move toward the noise, trying to make as little sound as possible, hoping that whoever or whatever is making it doesn't know you're there. Despite the darkness, you can see that the elevator doors are open slightly, with an inch or so gap between the two doors. As you angle yourself to try to see what's inside, your question is answered. Hey, who's out there? Whoever you are, help me get these stupid doors open. Whole thing's jammed. You pause for a moment. You haven't seen Hansen since the other day outside your quarters. I know you're out there. I heard you. Get over here and help me get these doors open. Hey, what are you waiting around for? As Hansen continues to call out, you size up the situation. With the darkness of the room, you could easily come and go without him being able to tell that it's you. On top of that, it's unlikely that he'd be able to force the elevator doors open on his own. Hey, come on, this isn't funny. Who's out there? Stop jerking me around. It's petty, but part of you almost relishes the idea of Hansen seeing how it feels to be trapped and unable to do anything. Haru, if you're messing with me, I'll kick your ass. Still, he's a member of the crew, and as security officer, it's still your role to keep them all safe, regardless of how much of a dick they might be. You take a deep breath and... Oh, man. I mean, Hansen's still gonna be a dick if we help him out. But this should at least help him kind of understand the idea of what happened a few years ago. Can be a helpful dick. Yeah, but Hansen's been giving him shit about like the battle a few years ago where he, like at the beginning of the game, where, you know, us, the character, we were stuck in our suit because it didn't disengage. It was a mechanical error, nothing to do with us. And because, like, when that happened, the rest of our crew besides Hansen died. And Hansen blames us for it. He's like, you fucking coward. If you were out there, we would still have a fucking crew. And it's been that way. And he doesn't even give a shit that it wasn't us. So now he kind of understands a little bit. Being, you know, helpless. Oh God, I almost want to leave him here, but I'm too much of a fucking Boy Scout. Fine. I can't save, can I? Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. Okay, cool. Here's the thing, I'm too much of a fucking Boy Scout. I'm gonna help him. Hold it for a second before releasing one long, constant sigh. Hey, I heard you. I know you're there. Get me out. All right, Hansen, I'll take the door on the right. You take the door on the left. On the count of 3, we pull. Great. Everyone on board. And it's a cavalcade coward. Figured you'd stop by here. On a nice little space to crawl up and hide in. Help me out so we can trade places and you can ride it out until the action's over. You immediately begin to regret your decision. See? Chris, do you want to get out of there or not? Whatever. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. The two of you both heave against the elevator's doors, which shift slightly, but not enough for Hansen to get out. Okay, again. 1, 2, 3. This time the doors yield a little more to your efforts. After they open a few more inches, you step back to catch your breath and watch as Hansen sticks his arm through a gap that struggles to get any further than that. Once more, and we should have you out of there. Shame your girlfriend isn't here. At least she's got a backbone she could be putting into this. You freeze for a moment as all of your muscles stiffen reflexively and a wave of anger flows through you. Excuse me, Hansen? You heard me. She's the one of you two with any stones. If she hadn't been there to save you the other day, you'd have what? Think hard about your answer, Hansen. Give me the wrong answer and you can try and squeeze that thick skull of yours through that gap without any more of my help. He shut up pretty fucking quick. Forget it. That's what I thought. Now get ready. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. It takes the two of you a few attempts, but finally you manage to push the doors open to the point where Hansen can make his way through the gap between the two of them. Free of the elevator, Hansen dusts himself down and looks around, whilst adjusting his jacket. So what the hell's going on? What's happened to the ship? Why has everything stopped working? There should be backups or something, right? You pause for a moment. Despite having been on the bridge when everything was wrong, you probably have as much of an idea as Hansen would. Honestly, you got no idea. I was on the bridge when it all happened. We made contact with the O'Brien. There was this flash. Then Commander Quinn had been knocked out. All the systems are offline, even the backups. We managed to get off the bridge using the maintenance crawlway. Now we're trying to figure out a way to reboot the computer to get everything back online. Just great. I knew the ship was a piece of junk the moment I stepped on board. You guys said you had a plan to get things up and running, yeah? Yeah, kinda. Great. You can handle that. I'm gonna go check on the crew. Have you seen Haru? No, I haven't. I haven't run into him. Okay, then I'll try their quarters. With that, Hansen heads into the darkness towards the four-side thoroughfare. He stops briefly, turning to face you. Lieutenant? Thanks, or whatever. The pilot quickly turns on his heels and disappears into the darkness. We did a good thing? Maybe? I don't know. Don't mention it. Ugh. He's still gonna be a dick. Give me a helpful dick, but a dick nonetheless. No one here. I think we're going to sick bay. The elevators are clearly out of action. I'll have to get things back up and running before I can get to Cassie and to sick bay. So, go to the aft thoroughfare then? It's right here. As you leave the central hub and enter the long corridor that comprises the aft thoroughfare, the first thing you notice is the sound of your steps on the middle floor ringing out and echoing down the corridor. Normally, the vibrations from the engines would dull the noise and it would be barely perceptible over their low and steady rumble. You gotten to the point where you didn't even notice the constant noise at the end of the ship, but now that the corridor is silent, its absence hits you. Should be able to find the chief in engineering. If anyone can figure this out, it'll be her. So yeah, let's move. At the end of the aft thoroughfare, where the corridor would normally transition from corridor into engineering department, instead you're met with a substantial blast door with the word engineering stenciled onto it. You run your hand over the surface before rapping on it with your knuckles. Rather than the low ring which would indicate it being relatively thin, this door returns a higher pitched noise, indicating that it's significantly thicker than normal. Unlike the rest of the doors on this ship, which are designed as entrances and exits, you can tell that this one exits more to block one section off from the other. You instantly dismiss any thoughts of forcing it open. It's likely that even the contents of the armory couldn't shift it. After a minute or two of fruitlessly inspecting it, you shrug to yourself. The only thing you can do right now is hope that the chief is nearby. Hey, chief! You pound on the door with your fist, hoping that the sound makes its way through. Chief, can you hear me? You continue to pound on the door and yell, stopping every so often to hear if there's any kind of response. Chief, I'm out here. Chief, hey! After a few minutes worth of attempting to make contact, you stop and flex the fingers on your right hand, cracking your knuckles to try and dismiss the comfort. Given the size of the engineering department, you begin to think about how close the chief would need to be to even hear you and the odds of that happening. Before you can resume your attempts, though, you can hear a dull, repetitive thudding coming from the other side. Nice beat. Nice beat. Chief, can you hear me? I'm out here. You call, pressing your ear up to the blast door to see if you can hear an answer. Instead, you just hear the same dull, repetitive thudding. At first, it seems random and erratic, but the longer you listen, you begin to realize there's a pattern. Morse code? Maybe? Not Morse code. Ugh, that's great, but what does it mean? In defeat, you slam your fist against the door one more time. Chief, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'll try and find a way to get in there with you. At least I know someone's in there. There's got to be some way I can get in touch with them. Send them a signal. Maybe there's something I haven't thought of yet. An emergency communication system? Something that's not tied into the ship? Think. You swipe your keycard through the card reader set into the terminal by the armory's door, and there's absolutely no response. Looking at the terminal, you can see there's no indication that it's working at all. Figures that with everything shut down, this wouldn't work. No sense wasting time around here anyway. I'll need to find some way to get in touch with the chief. Morse code. Hangar open? Take a lot more than brute force to get in there right now. Even if I did get in there, it's all mechanically vented anyway. I'm a bad place to be without power. Those doors are probably just as hard to move as all the others. I don't know what I'd do if I got in there. Like everywhere else on the ship so far, you're met with an unresponsive terminal and a shut door. You know not to expect much, but you try anyway, knocking on the door and calling out. Hey, Gunner Dees, can you hear me? Wait for a response, but don't feel particularly worried when one doesn't come. Knowing Dylan, he's probably not realized anything has happened. I don't think he'd be much help even if he could hear me. At least someone's probably having a good time during all this, as he's listening to his music. Crew quarters. That's my quarters are the one place in this entire ship I can guarantee there's nothing helpful for the situation in. Great. Standing in front of the door to Captain Bartermews' quarters, you instinctively straighten up, taking your chest out and your shoulders back. You know that your access card doesn't have the encoded permission to allow you to access the captain's quarters, and even if it did, the terminal to the side of the door is as lifeless as the rest of the ship. Instead, you bang forcefully on the captain's door and shout, "Captain Bartermews, it's Lieutenant Sly. There's been a system failure and Commander Quinn is incapacitated. We need you to get the emergency input codes to restart the ship's central computer." After waiting a few moments, you press your ear up to the door, seeing if you can hear any signs of life. From experience, you know that the crew quarters aren't as substantial as some of the other doors on the ship. It's not uncommon to know the exact schedules of other crew members based on sound alone. "Captain, it's an emergency!" You wait a little longer, but still don't hear anything. God damn it! Slamming your fist on the captain's door in frustration, you turn back. You gotta figure something else out. Nothing at Cassie's, I knew that. The double-sized doors that make up the entrance to the hangar remain steadfastly closed despite your best efforts. Although the terminal to their side is dead just like all the others, you attempted to open the double doors through brute force, as the hangar seemed like your best bet to access some helpful equipment. They had, however, remained inert against your efforts to pry them open using your own strength. Unsurprising, but frustrating. Even if I managed to get these doors open, there'd be another set waiting for me at the bottom of the staircase. And this would be way harder in low gravity. You pause for a moment thinking, but can't think of any way around it. Let's try somewhere else. As you enter, the airlock hatch door looms large in the darkness. A shiver runs through you and you rub your forearms. It wasn't something you noticed until now, but as you feel those goosebumps that cover your skin, you realize that the ship's temperature has now dropped noticeably. Gotta find a way to get things up and running again. Behind this panel is the manual control for the airlock hatch. I guess this is one of the few situations you'd use it, although I don't plan on going on a spacewalk anytime soon. Emergency spacesuits for use in the event of ship depressurization. Failure with the life support systems, or if the crew has to abandon ship. It's like I can get this solved without needing the extra air supply. Wait, I've just changed the batteries on these to make sure radios would work in an emergency. I wonder if any of the other radios on board will pick up the signal. bet that's what the chief was trying to tell me. Of course she'd come up with a plan like this before anyone else. Let's see if I can reach her. You grab the handle on the suit's container and twist. The metal in your hands is noticeably colder to the touch than it was the last time you were here. Once the lock is undone, you open the door and, bracing the suit with your left hand, grab the radio with your right. As you disconnect the radio unit from the breast panel, the spiraling plastic cord that connects it to the suit comes with it. Turning the radio in your hand, you find where the cord connects and unscrew the attachment point, allowing the cable to spring back towards the suit. You quickly extend the telescoping antenna and flick the power switch, which causes the sound of whining static to fill the previously silent room. You slowly rotate the tuning dial, working your way through the frequencies until a familiar voice comes out from the tinny speaker. An emergency broadcast from Chief Engineer Mackenzie Cathays on the JFS Gun-Dog to any JFS Gun-Dog crew members or any JFS ships nearby. The Gun-Dog has suffered a complete system failure and his assistance is needed to get them back online. I repeat, this is an emergency broadcast from Chief Engineer Mackenzie Cathays on the JFS Gun-Dog to any JFS Gun-Dog crew members or JCF ships nearby. The Gun-Dog has suffered a complete systems failure and assistance is needed to get them back online. Chief, this is Lieutenant Sly reading you loud and clear. I managed to get an emergency radio from one of the suits in the airlock. I'm able to get around the thoroughfares to the bridge, but I can't get anywhere else. It took you long enough. What the hell has everyone been doing this whole time? You're just about to push the button to send your response, but the chief cuts in. Anyway, you're in touch now. That's what counts. You said you could get to the bridge? Is that right? That's right. Then get back up there and get the captain to give me the input codes to access the main computer so that I can get the ship running again. Slight complication, Chief. The captain's taken sick. She's not on the bridge. Classic Bartermews. Then get back up there and get Lieutenant Commander Quinn to give me the input codes. She's out of commission too. She collapsed at the same time the ship's power went out. You release your thumb, allowing the chief to broadcast, but where you expected a swiftly delivered alternative, all you get is radio static. Chief? Nothing's ever easy, huh, Lieutenant? Who's currently on the bridge then? That'd be Lieutenant Lord. Well, she's the commanding officer on board right now, I guess. You're gonna want to get up there. I've got an idea, but it's not something I can authorize. Your grip on the radio tightens as a sense of apprehension grows within you. You don't know what the chief has in mind, but if it requires the authority of the ship's senior officer, you know it's got to be something dangerous. Realizing you've been holding your breath since the chief's last message, you breathe out and push the button on the radio side to send your message. Copy that, Chief. Heading up there now. Radio in hand, you quickly make your way back from the airlock into the central hub, then straight for the maintenance crawlway. It only takes you a moment of groping around in the darkness to find a ladder rung before you're on your way back up to the bridge. As you climb, each rung that you grip is cold to the touch, and the air that you breathe has a brisk chill to it. You know what this means. For the time being, you decide to push that thought out of your head. You've got other things to focus on. The climb up seems a lot shorter than your original climb down, and you soon emerge back on the bridge. Vanessa swivels in her chair and paces over to you. So did you get in touch with anyone? Kind of. You bring the radio to your face so that the microphone is level with your mouth and push the talk button with your thumb. Chief, I'm back on the bridge with Lieutenant Lord. Releasing the button, you walk past Vanessa, handing the radio over to her before heading towards Cassie. Vanessa looks from you to the radio with wild bewilderment before the chief's voice sounds out from the speaker. Lieutenant Lord, this is Chief Engineer Cathays. Do you read? As you kneel down to Cassie to check her pulse and temperature, as well as doing your best to tuck your jacket around her, the way the chief addresses Vanessa catches your attention. You hadn't heard the chief being that deferential towards anyone, even the captain. I hear you, Chief Cathays. Captain Bartermews and Commander Quinn are both incapacitated, so I'm in command of the Gun-Dog until such a time as they can return to duty, understood? He frowns slightly, hearing Vanessa assert her position over the chief like that. Although she is the ranking officer in the situation, you've not heard anyone on board pull rank in that way, especially on a chief, who you were under the impression enjoyed the respect of everyone on board, including Hansen and Haru. Yes, ma'am. Good. Have you got a plan, Chief Cathays? Or has Lieutenant Sly brought me this radio so we can have a chat about how nothing's working on your end either? As you stand and turn to face Vanessa, you catch the last few moments of the distasteful look she'd been making at you whilst your back was turned, and do your best to bite your tongue. We are gonna... Besides fucking Hansen, Vanessa has just been giving us so much fucking attitude now. I fucking hate it. Yes, ma'am. Lieutenant Sly has explained to me that both the captain and Commander Quinn are out of action. I'm aware that neither of them will be able to give me the input codes required to reactivate the central computer. We know that, Cathays. What's the solution? The only hope we've got right now is that the captain has copies of the documents that contain the access codes in her quarters. If someone can get in there, then they can get the codes and tell them to me, letting me reactivate the ship's systems. If we've been able to get into the captain's quarters, we'd have done that already. The whole ship's in lockdown. There's no way to get in there. You notice the slightest pause before the chief responds. You could be projecting, but you get the impression that she's just as fed up as you are. Not quite, ma'am. Although all the terminals and most of the hardware on the ship is dependent on the central computer, we got a tool that we use when something needs to be disconnected from the system. We use it for maintenance or debugging, the PST, or portable subterminal. It's effectively a standalone power pack with a microcomputer built in that provides enough power to activate the hardware attached to a terminal. It'll let us get into the captain's quarters, and then from there we can get the codes to start the computer back up. So where is this PST? It's in the hangar. We can't get in the hangar either. I know you're stuck in engineering, Cathays, but the story's the same for the entire ship. Another silence follows, longer this time. That's true if you're trying to get to the hangar from inside the ship, ma'am. But the Gun-Dog has two entrances that can be activated entirely manually. The main onboarding airlock and the hangar crew airlock. If someone left the ship via the onboarding airlock, they could make their way to the crew airlock for the hangar and re-enter there. Then they could get the PST and make their way through the ship as normal. I see. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief Engineer Cathays, but aren't yourself and Cadet Grange the only crew on board qualified for extravehicular activity in space? And you're currently stuck in engineering whilst we can't get in contact with Cadet Grange to just bring up the PST? Yes, ma'am. You begin to feel a knot in your gut, internally curse at Dalton for not having picked up enough of the chief's know-how to have found an emergency radio of his own. And policy dictates that all EVA needs to be commanded by an operations officer. The knot in your stomach tightens as you take a deep breath in. Vanessa's eyes are now locked on you. Yes, ma'am. The slightest hint of a smile forms on Vanessa's face. Well, Lieutenant, it looks like you're going for a walk. You'd seen this coming as soon as the chief had begun outlining the plan, but you'd been hoping that there's some extra part that hadn't been revealed yet, something that would allow you to stay on board. Faced with Vanessa's directness, the knot in your stomach tightens further. A sense of nausea rises from your gut. Fine. Some people took well to spacewalks, some even enjoyed them so much they take careers in colony construction and repair, where they spend more time in the vacuum of space than they did inside the colony or on ships. You were not one of those people. You'd only ever left the confines of a ship or colony a few times in your life, and almost all those had been evacuation drills that you've been through in school or during citizenry courses. On every occasion that you could remember, you reacted badly, but managed to keep it to yourself. Something about being out in the void, an attachment clip or handrail away from drifting off into the endless nothingness of space, had always filled you with dread. The knowledge that you were a slip away from disappearing forever, irretrievable and helpless. But despite all that, you knew full well from Vanessa's discussion with the chief that there was not going to be any way around doing this, and right now, you were the ship's, Cassie's, only hope. As much as you hated the thought of it, you pushed back against the fear that had been rising up inside you. Taking a deep breath, you resigned yourself to what you had to do. Fine, I'll do it. The chief can walk me through everything that I need to know on my way over to the airlock. Dashing security officer diving headfirst into danger. Isn't he great, Lieutenant Commander Quinn? So selfless. I swear to God, I want to smack this bitch so bad. She's getting so smarmy right now. Because she doesn't have to go out into space. Vanessa rolls her eyes, covering her mouth with the back of her hand and putting on a mocking tone. Oh, my hero. So brave going into space to save us. Only you can... You snatch the radio off Vanessa and turn your back on her, heading towards the maintenance crawlway. At this point, you've had just about all you can take of her, so the sooner the situation is resolved, you decide the sooner you can go back to avoiding her. Oh, quit making a big deal of this with all your huffing and puffing, Lieutenant Sly. You shut the fuck up! Oh my god! From what I've heard, hanging out in space is something of a pastime of yours. Oh, she's worse than Hansen. She is so worse than Hansen. With that comment, you feel like your heart's dropped out of your chest. You quickly spin back to face Vanessa. Lieutenant? Please give me the option. Reining in the flash of anger you just felt, you silently shake your head as you turn back around and grab a hold of the first rung of the Crawlway's ladder. I hope it was going to give me the option to just slap her. Just slap the living shit out of her. Chief, I'm on my way to the airlock now. Walk me through what I need to know. Wait! One hand still on the ladder's rung, you pause and turn around. Yes, Lieutenant Lord. You just about managed to ask through gritted teeth. Don't you think you're forgetting something? Doing your best to suppress the urge to scream that you can feel building inside your chest, you pause for a moment and stare at Lieutenant Lord, trying to puzzle out what kind of mind game she's playing. Lieutenant Lord, if there's... Before you finish, Vanessa rolls her eyes and turns on her heels, walking back over to Cassandra and squatting down. You almost yell out when Vanessa lays her hand on Cassie's hip, but you stop when you see her withdraw a key card from Cassie's skirt pocket. Holding it between her thumb and forefinger with a flourish, she waves it at you as she stands up and walks back over to you. The central computer can only be accessed by the captain or members of operations. Good luck getting in there without this. Vanessa casually tosses the card, which you grab out of the air. You turn the card over in your hand a few times before pocketing it. The chief said that the PST used its battery power to open. I can see what you and her see in each other. As if hooking a battery up to a door would get you around the ship's security systems, you're still going to need to have the right authority levels to get through. Honestly, at this point your jaw is clenched so hard it feels like your teeth may crack at any second. With the cold chill of the ladder rung reminding you just how dire the situation is getting, you turn back around. Thank you, Lieutenant. You just about manage. Still there, Chief? I'm heading to the airlock now. Have you got the radio coming through the helmet's speakers, Lieutenant? Chief's voice fills your helmet. The sound quality is somehow worse than a speaker on the main radio unit itself. Loud and clear, Chief. You respond, securing the radio on the suit's breast panel. You got the emergency suit on and sealed? Yeah, currently breathing in the suit's oxygen supply. What now? You see the access panel next to the internal airlock hatch? The spacesuit's helmet is attached to the rest of the suit in a fixed position, so although you turn your head to check, all you can see is the helmet's interior. You turn your whole body in an exaggerated motion to look for the emergency access panel and spot it on the other side of the hatch. I see it, Chief. I'm heading over now. Alright, you'll need to remove the panel in the same way that you did the one on the bridge. Once you've got it off, you'll see a large handle. Cranking that lever operates a manual override that will open the hatch to the airlock. Understood. Although you had to learn to operate the airlock manually in basic training, you didn't feel that now was the time to dismiss the chief and act like a know-it-all. She was likely getting her fill of that from Lieutenant Lord. You kneel down by the panel and attempt to find the gap between its edge and the surrounding wall. This is made a lot harder by the thick material of your suit. After a few attempts to find it, the tips of your gloves catch in the recess. You work your digits in more until you find a catch that you can squeeze. The panel falls away from the wall and you take hold of it, placing it to the side. Underneath is a handle marked emergency use only. Alright, that's the access panel out of the way. I see the handle. Good. Now you're going to want to turn it counterclockwise and keep going until the hatch is open. Understood. Placing your left hand at the bottom of the handle, your right hand at the top, you apply as much force as you can to push it clockwise. Your initial heave barely moves it despite your effort. Hold on, there's going to be a series of events that we may die in space. So it may behoove us to save right here. Come on. You grip the handle again and place your entire body weight behind your effort to shift it. This time it moves more noticeably, but when you look at the airlock hatch, it doesn't appear to have opened at all. With another grunt, you push the lever a full 90 degrees, allowing it to return to its neutral position. Although it still resists you, you're able to feel the ratchet mechanism to begin to move. Nothing's. You push the handle 90 degrees again before letting it reset. You adjust your grip and push the handle again. Easy! You complain through gritted teeth as you feel the mechanism slowly but surely moving a little bit each time. As you carry on this process of straining against the mechanism, you complete crank after crank. You can hear the mechanism of the airlock groan and strain with each turn. Eventually, something gives. The mechanism in the airlock uncouples, releasing their locks, and the whole thing slides open. You can feel the sweat on your brow and curse that you put the suit on beforehand, preventing you from wiping it off. Okay, Chief, I'm heading into the airlock chamber. What's next? You'll see a similar panel on the opposite end of the hatch inside the chamber. Same deal, but in reverse. Makes sense? Okay. Once inside the airlock chamber, you spot an identical access panel. Quickly get to work. Unfortunately, it's just as hard to close the hatch as it was to open it. Interior hatch is closed. Now what? You try to keep your breathing under control as the inside of your helmet begins to heat up, reminding you of another reason you've never been fond of them. What you're going to need to do next will be to vent the air in the chamber and then open the exterior hatch. To start with, the Chief walks you step by step through the process required. Although you remember most of this from training, you're thankful for the help as a few parts had slipped your mind. You carry on following the Chief's orders until, with one final monumental heave, you get the external hatch open. You step away from the lever and head over to the opening. Seeing the stars in front of you, rather than a terminal or view screen, fills you with the familiar dread you felt on the bridge. Alright, Chief, I'm heading out. Pressing firmly on a switch on the suit's breast panel, you hear a momentary high-pitched whine as the soles of the boots are drawn towards the airlock floor. With the electromagnets now active, each step is an effort. At least you know you won't go hurtling in space. You place one right foot on the edge of the airlock hatch and stare out into the emptiness. You see nothing but stars, with light years of gulf between them and you. With your next step, you head out into the nothingness, pivoting on the axis of your foot at the edge of the airlock. The step that you took into space brings your foot back down on the Gun-Dog's exterior hull. Even though the ship had fallen silent since its power had been knocked offline, that hadn't been true silence. There had been the echo of your footsteps, the almost inaudible sound of things other crew members were doing in the far-off reaches of the ship. Out here, all you could hear was your own breathing and the whine of the magnets. You take a moment to orientate yourself and turn 90 degrees to your right, angling yourself towards the front of the ship. With a little difficulty, bring one foot up and away from the hull and place it down in front of you. Slowly but steadily, you make your way towards the hangar airlock. Still with us, Lieutenant Sly? Haven't gone hurling off into space or anything? Oh my God! I'm sorry. You roll your eyes as you plod forwards. Still here, Lieutenant Lord. Good, good. What's your ET on the Hangar airlock? You quickly do some rough maths around what you know about the Gun-Dog's dimensions. Airlock's around the midpoint of the ship, 250 meters long. About 5 minutes, Lieutenant. This isn't a Sunday afternoon stroll at the replica garden, Sly. Pick up the pace. You allow yourself the opportunity to curse openly at Vanessa before hitting the push to talk button again. Yes, ma'am. You carry on the laborious march toward the hangar's crew airlock, slowly heaving 1 foot at a time away from the ship's hull for a place to get back down in front of you. There are a few awkward areas where the ship's hull rises or falls. You have to navigate your way across them. The loss of a constant bearing begins to disorientate you, but you march onward, ensuring that you're heading consistently in a straight line regardless of orientation. Eventually, you see the distinct markings that indicate an airlock hatch in the distance. Although it's marked in the same way as the one you emerged from, this one is much smaller, scarcely bigger than the typical doorway inside the Gun-Dog. You enjoy a momentary celebration, then pick up the pace. All right, Chief, I'm at the Hangar crew airlock. Okay, if you look to the right of the door, you should see an access panel with a lever underneath, just like the others. Okay, let's see. Due to your orientation from standing on the ship's hull, the airlock entryway is laid out at your feet. You shift yourself to be able to look to the right and see the panel, which you head over to and squat down in front of, running your fingers around its edges to find the now familiar recess. With a practice movement, you undo the clip. Unlike the panels inside the ship that freely come away, this one swings on a hinge, revealing the lever underneath. Hopefully, this should be easier on a smaller hatch. You mutter to yourself, reaching for the lever. Chief? What is it? It's the lever. It's, You run your hand a few more times over the lever, which is visible, but inlaid into the hull perfectly level with its surroundings. Whereas you've been able to remove the panel cover by finding the recess, there was nothing like that here, making grasping the lever impossible. I can't get any purchase on it. It's completely flush with the hull. There's no way to grip it. Chief? Lieutenant Lord, do you know what the current security code is? Of course I don't. They're like emergency input codes. Only the captain or the second in command knows them. Why? You gotta be shitting me. Chief Engineer Cathays, I asked you a question. There's a moment of radio static, but you can hear the chief's sigh through the crackle and distortion. In order to gain entry to an airlock from outside, you need to input the ship's security code into the number pad. It's an analog locking mechanism, but you still need that code. God damn it! God damn it, God damn it, God damn it, God damn you miserable excuse for a captain. God damn you, Quinn, you absolute airhead. Hold up. Hold up. You're not about to talk about our girlfriend like that. Hey, watch yourself, Lord. Oh, shut up, Sly. Because of your stupid bimbo girlfriend deciding that now is a great time to take a nap, I'm stuck on a dead ship running out of air, trying to herd you knuckleheads around on stupid, pointless errands. Stow it. I'm not a big fan of this either, but right now, we're the best hope this ship's got. So if you could put a lid on a gigantic bitch act for 5 minutes and help us figure out how to solve this, we can... How dare you? I said stow it. You know what? This gets a clap from me. About time we shut her bitch ass up. 5 minutes, Lieutenant Lord, and once I'm on board, I can handle the rest of it myself. Then you can go back to pretending you're the most important crew member. This is insubordination. All right, you two, that's enough. Both you and Vanessa snap into silence with the chief's interjection. Before either of you can start up again, she carries on in a commanding tone. Lieutenant Lord, do you know how long the security code is? Do you know the punishment for addressing a senior officer like that? No, ma'am, I do not. But if it gets Lieutenant Sly on board any sooner, I'll say it's worth it. Do you know how long it is? It's 4 digits. Thank you. Now, do you have any idea? Of course I don't have any idea. It's Quinn's responsibility to generate those and set those kinds of codes. I think I might have an idea. Oh, by the way, if you ever want access to my quarters, the passcode for the log is our anniversary, and they're hoping you remember it. ... It's pretty much the same passcode I use for everything. I think I might know it. What? I said I think I might know it. It's... You rack your brain trying to remember the date where you and Cassie first visited the Europa amusement park. It was... You quickly punch in the 4-digit security code and then hit the enter key. As soon as you do, the lever rises out of its recess. Huh, yes! You got it, Lieutenant? Yeah, 0211, in case that helps. And how did you know what the security code was? That's sensitive information. You don't want to tell Vanessa the reason you were able to guess the code. That was yours and Cassie's anniversary. Instead, you scrambled for a lie. It's the passcode for Lieutenant Commander Quinn's quarters. Ugh, I can't believe it. These codes are supposed to be secure. How could she? For the time being, Lieutenant Lord, how about we just focus on the fact that I'm able to get in the hangar? Using your position away from the number pad, you squat down by the raised lever. Taking it in both hands, you find it much easier to crank than the ones on the main airlock, and in no time at all, the exterior hatch of the airlock is open. As you step inside the ship, you find yourself in a chamber almost identical to the airlock you left earlier, with the exception that was much smaller. Moving quickly now, you close the exterior hatch behind you and follow the inverse process you carried out to leave the ship, pressurizing the chamber with oxygen and opening the internal hatch. In a few short minutes, you're back inside the familiar space of the ship's hangar, and you remove your helmet, happy to be breathing something other than the suit's oxygen supply. You then disengage the electromagnets before removing the suit completely, making sure to take the radio with you. Now, unencumbered by its bulk and in the low gravity of the hangar, you gently drift towards the equipment storage, the uneasy silence surrounding you. You quickly punch in the 4-digit security code and then hit the enter key. As soon as you do, the lever rises out of its recess. Huh, yes! You got it, Lieutenant? Yeah. It was 0211 in case that helps. It basically said the same thing. None of that's... Hold on. Doing me any good right now. I'll have to look through the crates by hand. Let's see if that PST is going to be anywhere. It'll be amongst all the stowed equipment and gear, so... In the darkness, a collection of stacked or suspended crates, containers, and various pieces of heavy machinery looms intimidatingly. Looking from container to container, you realize that none of them are marked in a way that makes any sense to the uninitiated. Shaking your head, you reach for the radio. You ask the chief where you'd be able to find it. Before you can call her, you hear the rustle of the jumpsuit's fabric behind you moments before a wavering voice demands, "Stop right there, intruder! Identify yourself!" Raise your hand slowly, and careful not to make any sudden movements. Dalton had done surprisingly well to get a drop on you, and if he was under the impression that you were the enemy, he should be armed to confront you like this. Oh God, Dalton. Cathays, Cadet, it's me, Lieutenant Sly. Lieutenant, I'm sorry, I thought that... Turning around slowly, hands still raised, you smile. Don't worry about it. It'd be good to sneak up on me like that, if I was the enemy. Pausing mid-sentence, you sigh as you realize Dalton isn't actually holding a firearm. Cadet, where's your weapon? Sir? If I had been the enemy, what were you planning on making me do without a weapon for encouragement? Dalton pauses briefly and you see realization flash in his eyes. Sorry, I didn't think that, I thought that, which is... Ease up, Dalton. This is all sorted out. We'll go over anti-boarding procedures, okay? Yes, thank you, sir. Although, what exactly is going on, Lieutenant? I was just finishing up something when all the power went out. I haven't been able to get in touch with anyone. It takes you a few minutes, but you quickly fill Dalton in on the events taking place on board the ship, including your current objective of obtaining the portable subterminal. Emergency suit radios? Why didn't I think of that? He was gonna be so mad. She was teaching me suit maintenance just last week. Hey, take it easy, Cadet. No one else on the ship figured it out on their own either, but don't beat yourself up over it. I guess. But don't worry about it. What we need to do now is find the PST. You know where it's kept? I think so. Let me look. With a kick against a container next to him, Dalton propels himself towards a set of smaller crates. Once he arrives, you watch as he opens one, rummages through various bits of electronic adjacent looking hardware, which he fastidiously replaces before closing the lid, moving on to the next one next to it. It takes the cadet checking a few different storage crates before eventually he withdraws a device the size of a briefcase. With it firmly in hand, he slowly drifts back toward you, presenting it once back. Here we go, Lieutenant. This is what you're after. You got a portable subterminal. So this is the portable subterminal, huh? You take the hefty device from Dalton and turn it over a few times to investigate it from different angles. The exterior is largely one off-white plastic shell with a handle attached, allowing you to carry it like a briefcase. The one visible seam that runs around the entire casing has two conspicuous claps that you release, causing part of the device to fold out, revealing a keyboard alongside various screens, buttons, disk drives, and withdrawable cables. Alright, Cadet, can you give me the quick rundown of how to use this? Yes, sir. I guess the entry through the thoroughfare would be a good place to try it out. Sounds better than going for another walk outside the ship. Let's go. The two of you make your way to the hangar, through the hangar, and up the flights of stairs that lead to the foreside thoroughfare. Once at the top, you're faced with the unyielding set of double doors. Okay, sir, first you need to take the cable from the PST and connect it to the underside of the terminal next to whichever door you want to open. After that, you turn the device on. If you do that now, I'll show you the rest once it's active. Following Dalton's instructions, you kneel by the terminal and withdraw the cable from the device. It's awkward in the darkness, but you eventually connect the cable to a port on the bottom of the terminal. Once you've got the subterminal connected, you can use it in the same way you would the normal terminal. Just select the right function from the menu, insert your keycard into the slot link it requests you to. Give it a try now. Alright, let's see. Using a small keyboard, you select the override open function and then, as Dalton advised, insert your keycard. As expected, although slightly slower than you'd like, the door opens, allowing access to the foreside thoroughfare. Great work, Cadet. All I need to do now is get this to the captain's quarters and then to engineering, and we'll have the Gun-Dog back up and running in no time. You okay there, Cadet? Yeah, I forgot that you had to get the codes from the captain's quarters. Isn't that against the rules or insubordination or something? I thought that it was forbidden to go into the captain's quarters unless explicitly instructed for duty. You sigh as Dalton shakily removes the cable from the terminal underside and closes the lid on the PST. Technically, yes, but right now, the choice is insubordination or we all suffocate in the vacuum of space. But don't worry about it. I'm sure the captain will understand why I had to do it. Besides, I always wanted to see what their quarters looks like. I'd say it's worth it, right? I guess. Place a hand on Dalton's shoulder and take the terminal from him. Anyway, take it easy here. Try to raise the chief on the radio. See if she's got anything for you to do. I've got to get moving. Yes, sir. With that, you give Dalton a casual salute. In return, he throws a rigid, formal salute back at you. Smiling to yourself, you head through the now open double doors and into the thoroughfare. Yes! I'm saving again. Okay. So we are going to move the captain's quarters. Standing outside the captain's quarters, you look at the heavy device in your hand. It's taken longer than you'd like to get here. At least now, you can get those codes from the captain. Okay, so first I get the PST. You kneel down by the terminal to the side of the door, laying the PST on the ground and unclipping the catches that hold the front of the unit closed. After it starts up, you swiftly draw out the cable and connect it to the terminal's underside. Squinting at the screen's phosphorescent glow in the low light, you scroll your way through a series of menus to select the unlock function. Once you hit enter on command, a prompt shows up on the screen. Alright, now, can't use mine, so we had to use Cassie's card. Once the device reads your key card, you hear the soft whir of the door unlocking and a hiss as it slowly opens. Okay, and leave this here for the time being. You stand up and step in the front of the door, which continues its painful, slow opening. Come on, come on, come on. Ooh, she's got the good booze. Captain, are you? As you step across the threshold into the dark of the captain's quarters, you're instantly overwhelmed by a powerful fetor. You gag and stumble your way back to the door, taking a deep breath of the corridor sterile air. You try to compose yourself, but the odor drifts out around you, and a particularly acrid waft stings the back of your throat as you take another breath, causing you to gag again. The atmosphere on ships and even the colonies are carefully regulated, and the air supply constantly scrubbed and recycled, because this strong smells are something that are almost never encountered and quickly resolved. You realize that with the ship's life support out of action, this hasn't been happening, and whatever is causing the stench in the captain's quarters has been left to putrefy the air into this awful miasma. After a few more retches, you still yourself, re-enter the room. Before heading in, you bring your arm up in front of your mouth and nose to do your best to bear the stink. Although you're doing your best to breathe as lightly as possible, the odor still assaults you, and it's too much to bear. Captain, are you in here? Captain? With no answer, you carry on deeper into the quarters. As you grow accustomed to the smell, you begin to pick up unique odors that it's comprised of. The first scent that you identify brings back memories of your early flight training. The acidic tang of vomit. Oh God. Captain's hungover. The second takes you a little while longer. Sour and chemical. You wonder for a moment if it's one of the substances they use to strip paintwork from ships or armor frames, but then you spy an empty bottle on the desk and realize what it is. Stale whiskey. Sick, huh? With the cause of the captain's absence now obvious, you look around the room. To the left is another closed door. To the right, you see an open doorway and what looks like the end of a bed. Captain! You call out again as you head towards it. Although your reason for being here is entirely justifiable, you still feel a bit hesitant about barging in. Captain? Nothing. All right, Captain, I'm coming in. We need those. Having stepped through the doorway, you find yourself in a room that's much closer to a normal bedroom than the crew quarters. Rather than access panels flush with the walls for storage, the room has actual furniture. A chest of drawers sits below a large mirror, and a bedside table is right next to an unmade queen-size bed. For a moment, you think, like Cassie is wont to do, the captain has just thrown her work uniform onto the bed and left it all in a heap. But before you turn back, a sluggish movement as the mass of crumpled clothing turns over, it reveals it to be Captain Bartermews herself. Captain! You throw a salute and hold it for a moment before you realize the captain is completely oblivious to your presence. Tentatively making your way towards the captain's bedside, you register that the smell of the stale whiskey is strongest in her immediate vicinity. Oh, the captain gets down. As you look around, you notice another bottle lies mostly empty with a small pool of amber liquid left in one of its corners. Captain, you run your hands back through your hair and sigh loudly. Regardless of all this, you remind yourself you're here to get the emergency input codes. Captain! Hey, Captain! Captain Bartermews! You place your palm on the captain's upper arm and rock her gently. Captain, come on, you need to wake up. You need your emergency input code. Captain, wake up! Captain! Captain! You step back and pinch the bridge of your nose with your thumb and forefinger. Despite everything, it doesn't seem the captain will be waking up from this stupor anytime soon. Oh, come on, after everything. If I can't get the codes from the captain directly, maybe she keeps a copy of them around here or something. Worth a shot. Captain's bedroom, it's actually pretty nice. This is the first time seeing captain's quarters, so I didn't know they were just different. Privilege of rank, I guess. Painting of the first colony fleet to enter Jupiter's orbit. I remember my civics lessons. They were funded by a wealthy Terran industrialist who had them built to serve as habitats for a workforce that would harvest resources from Jupiter and her moons for his company's sake. After a few decades, the population had enough of existing with no autonomy and living on company scripts, so they took control of the fleet and petitioned to join the Solar Federation. You know, we all know how that ended. Sorry, I had to hydrate a bit. Been reading for so long. Okay. If the captain's got an actual bedroom, I wonder if this is it's an actual bathroom, all right. Hold on. But now I know where the smell of vomit's coming from. What was I expecting to find in there anyway? Empty bottle of whiskey. Aside from a few leftover drops, Europa Colony Special Blend. Pretty nice desk. Must be where the captain does all her work when she's not on the bridge. If that's the case, then, as I thought, it's got a few drawers at the back next to where she'd sit. If the codes are anywhere, they'd be in there. I know I've seen Cassie and the captain printed reports and status updates. Maybe she still got a copy of those codes in here. You try to open the top drawer, but the small amount of initial give stops almost immediately as you hear a clunk. You try a few more times and then spot a keyhole to the left of the drawer. Checking the second and third drawers gives you the same result. Locked, of course, and to find a key. You were uncomfortable enough making your way in here in the first place, but now that you're about to rummage your way through the captain's personal effects, you feel even worse. Let's get this over with. Doing a quick scan of the room in the hopes that the captain may have left the key on top of the chest of drawers or on her bedside table proves fruitless, so you tentatively step back inside, nervously looking back at the captain's comatose form every few moments. Sorry about this, Captain. Standing by the chest of drawers, you lay your hand on its top and drum your fingers before nervously pulling the top one open. Seeing only folded clothing inside, you close it quickly, going on to repeat this process for the next two drawers, finding nothing. Stepping back, you take another look around. The only immediately obvious place left to check is the drawer inside the bedside table right next to the captain. Moving over to it, you squat down beside the unit, acutely aware of the captain sleeping right next to you. In the low light, it's next to impossible for you to make out the contents of the drawer, so you have to settle for reaching inside and feeling your way through. Running your fingers over the various contents, you try to figure out what's in there. Thin plastic surface with regular bumps, which feels like it's a foil underside. A small glass bottle with a series of raised dots just under the label. Various individual papers. Aha! You grab a hold of what feels like a key card flipped onto a lanyard and pull it out of the drawer. The metallic jangling sound that comes with it is quickly revealed to be a key ring featuring various different keys. One of these has got to be the key for those. Oh no! Lieutenant? Oh no! Why did I think this was gonna happen? Oh my god! You freeze in place with your hand half out of the drawer holding onto the captain's identity card and keys. You hadn't seen her stir, but in the blink of an eye, Captain Bartermews has managed to reach out and grab a hold of your wrist. Explain yourself. The captain's grip on your wrist isn't particularly strong, but the shock has rendered you perfectly still. You slowly turn your head to face her and see her lazily gazing at you through the darkness. Lieutenant? You hold on to your breath for a moment and exhale slowly, calming yourself. What are you? Composing yourself, you speak calmly and quietly. I'm sorry, Captain. It's an emergency. I've come to get your input codes. Emergency? All the ship systems have gone offline. Commander Quinn has collapsed. I've been working with Chief Cathays and Lieutenant Lord to get your codes so we can get the ship back online. Captain blinks groggily a few times and releases your wrist, drawing her hand back to rub her eyes. As she does, you slowly take the keys from the bedside drawer and stand. That's why I'm here. I thought the codes might be in your desk drawer, but I needed a key. Although you're doing your best to maintain your tone and demeanor on the inside, your heart is racing as you consider the possibility of being given a court-martial here and now. Sounds important. She's still half asleep. Well, yes ma'am, I'd say we all consider it pretty crucial right now. The captain continues to gaze at you as you stand to attention in the darkness. After a moment in which you think she may have fallen back asleep, she rolls onto her back and brings her hand to her forehead. Print out with the latest access codes. It's in the second drawer. You breathe a sigh of relief as the captain rolls the face away from you. Just don't read the report. Ma'am? Wait for a few moments, and eventually a gentle snore emerges from the crumpled heap that is Captain Bartermews, and you relax. Second drawer. Thanks, Captain. Oh my god. Alright, let's see which one. You spend a few moments working your way through the selection of keys that hang from the ring on the end of the captain's lanyard. You're able to discount a few based on their unusual shapes, but finding the right one is still a tricky task in the dark. Eventually, you find the one that slides easily into the lock and turns the mechanism, which lets out a surprisingly hefty clunk. The captain said the codes are in the second drawer, so you open that drawer first. and purposely leaf through the collections of papers, reports, and files that it contained. Through manifests, security updates. Aha! You see the telltale tractor feed edges of the printer paper that you've seen Cassie produce updates and reports for the captain on sticking out from underneath the manila folder. As you lift the paper out of the drawer, the folder on top begins to spill its contents. Quickly grab it to stop everything from falling out. As you do, you can't help but read its title. JCF Naval Investigatory Commission Findings. Incident 00784 2109-0209. Subject: Rear Admiral M. Bartermews. What you believe to be the printout that would contain the codes in one hand, this report in the other, you look back towards the captain's bedroom as you remember her instructions. Just don't read the report. You hesitate for a moment, rereading the title. Rear Admiral? Oh my god. I gots to know. Part of me wants to read it. So she's not captain, rear admiral? Did she get demoted? Am I doing this? Am I really freaking doing this? I did save. You stare at the cover of the report for a few moments before looking back to the printout, then to the captain's bedroom. We're really doing this. Placing the printout back in a drawer, you open the folder and begin to leaf your way through its contents. You skim the first few pages which outline the investigation's intention. You assess the actions taken by Rear Admiral M. Bartermews in the battle in lunar orbit. Following on from that are a series of diagrams and charts you recognize to be ship movements sorted by time, followed by annotated or captioned stills taken from ship or armored frame-based recording devices. As you work your way through them, you see what they're being used to illustrate. A squadron of JCF ships pulls away from the main fleet, is eventually intercepted and then decimated by the enemy. The final photographs show the few remaining ships returning to the fleet in a state of disarray, with all of them suffering extensive damage. As you move past the pictures and diagrams, you flick through the pages that outline a breakdown of the losses. Ships, armored frames, pages and pages of crew member names. Eventually, you get to the last few pages of the report where you skim through to the conclusion. This inquiry finds that by leaving the defensive position for an unsanctioned offensive, thereby opening a point of access through the E field, Rear Admiral Maris Bartermews significant loss to armored frame groups. Wait, E field? This is Cathays 6. They cut off the flight path. There's more. There's a whole squadron of carriers coming in from E field. Cathays 1. They're gonna cut you off from the fleet. Ooh. Cathays 6, respond. Cathays 6, what's going on? How many carriers are coming in from E field? You stop and lay the report on the captain's desk, staring at it, rereading the conclusion again and again. Adversely impacted flights included Deeb flight, Karmi flight, Carpo flight, Cathays flight. You close the report and place it back into the drawer. Almost mechanically, you reach for the printout you've been handling a few moments before and methodically scan through it until you see what you're after. Classified Core System Access Codes. Generation date 2004-0214. For Captain and Second only. You slowly rip the relevant page from the rest of the document at its perforated edges and fold it up and slide it into your pocket. After this, you methodically place the rest of the papers back into the drawer, which you slide closed. With the codes in your possession, you calmly make your way back towards the corridor outside the captain's quarters where you left the PST. As you approach the doorway, you absent-mindedly take hold of the radio and push down the transmission button. Okay, Chief. Lieutenant Lord, I've got the codes. You release the push-to-talk button and wait. Hey, RT. You give it a moment, but instead of more instructions from the Chief or some kind of backhanded congratulation from Lieutenant Lord, all you hear is a powerful hiss of static. Chief? Try again. Lieutenant Lord? Still nothing. Anyone? Come on. You give the radio a shake and spend a few moments adjusting the frequency dials, but you still don't hear anything from anyone, just a hiss of static. For a moment, you feel like throwing the radio down the corridor, and instead you slump against the nearest wall and hold your head in one hand. Slouching against the wall in the low light for a moment longer, you sigh loudly before turning and kneeling down by the PST, but you begin to pack up. You got the codes, you just can't get them to the Chief over the radio. Next best thing you decide is to get them over to her in person. You clip the latches on the PST closed and pick it up as you stand, turning to make your way through the darkness towards the four-side thoroughfare. Oh man, I still feel shitty about reading that report. I'm gonna save after. I did save at the moment of reading it, so we could come back to it. Outside the huge blast door that separates the aft thoroughfare and the engineering department, you begin the increasingly familiar process of unpacking the PST. Alright, set up the PST. First withdrawing the cable, then plugging it into the terminal near the door. You boot up the device and begin cycling through the options. And then I can use my card. With the device set up, you hit the entry key on the unlock option and turn your attention towards the partition that stands between you and the engineering department. Unlike the other doors the PST battery power has been used to open, this blast door is inches thick and comprised almost entirely of solid steel. You watch tentatively as a low grinding sound emanates from the ceiling for about 10 seconds before the door even begins to move. Like the others, the opening process is agonizingly slow. In the darkness of the thoroughfare, time seems to lose all meaning as you watch the door almost imperceptibly work its way upwards. After a few minutes, the barely noticeable progress comes to a halt, and the low grinding sound stops, with the blast door giving you just over a foot of clearance between it and the floor. Turning your attention back towards the PST, you see a graphic of an empty battery with a cross through it blinking on the screen. Oh no. Knowing the blast door is being kept open by the device's dwindling battery power, you drop to the floor and, grabbing the PST, begin to crawl forward into the engineering. There's just enough clearance for you to worm your way through underneath, but the smooth panel floor turning to grating makes it an uncomfortable experience. By the time you make it halfway through, with your feet still sticking out in the aft thoroughfare, the grinding noise that stopped with the doors starts back up again. No. You shove the PST ahead of you through the small gap, being mindful not to yank out the cable plugged in the underside of the terminal. Ignoring the grating, you need to quickly squirm the rest of your way until you're clear of the door. Then rolling onto your back, you grab the PST's cable and give it a swift tug, pulling it out of the terminal onto the other side and back to you just before the blast door drops shut. That's some Indiana Jones shit. It was way too close. You stand up and then quickly pick up the PST, which still has a low battery warning blinking on the screen. Chief! Your call is met with the oppressive silence that somehow seems worse in the vast space of the engineering department. Chief, it's me, Lieutenant Sly. I got the PST. Chief! Making your way past various systems, terminals, and stations, and machinery, you continue to call out to the chief, but there's no response. Where the hell could she be? As you continue your way deeper into the engineering, you grab the radio. Chief! Just like the last time you tried, no one answers and all you hear is static. Chief! You dart down different catwalks trying to find the chief, your mind racing as to where she could be. Chief! With the low battery warning illuminating your face in increasingly small intervals with its constant flashing, you stop. Looking down at the PST screen, you make a decision. Well, did everything else myself. Bring back from the main section of engineering, you make a beeline over to the room that holds the central computer, your footsteps on the grating echoing throughout the silence. You may as well finish things. As you begin to run, the PST starts to beep and the battery symbol flashes even more rapidly. If you're running out of battery, then don't use what you've got left flashing and beeping. Running at full speed now towards the central computer, you reach it just as the PST's whole screen begins to blink, cycling between showing the warning and nothing at all. Once you arrive at the doorway that leads to the central computer, you know what you've got to do. Wasting no time, you withdraw the cable and hurriedly plug it into the terminal with one hand while scrolling through options with the other. Come on, hang in there. Come on, almost there. And now, there. As soon as the door begins to open, you jump to it and start pushing it on it in order to force it open. Once you've made the gap large enough, you slip through the exact moment you hear the PST power down and the door slides back shut. It takes a moment, but your eyes adjust to the darkness of the room. Looking around, you see that's a little bigger than a cleaning cupboard or a crew member's shower cubicle. Masses of thick cabling run from the ceiling and floor along the walls toward the end of the room opposite the doorway. On the far side is a huge screen with a keyboard positioned below it at about waist height. Stepping towards the interface, you run your hands over the keys. The computer shows no signs of life, even after you begin to push random buttons. Simply bashing the keyboard doesn't produce any response, but instead you begin to feel your way over its casing in the darkness, trying to find what might be a power button. Eventually, you find a rocker switch set into the side of the device. You flick it to the alternate position once, but nothing happens. With no other options, you flick it back to the other position, to the position it was in. This time, the screen illuminates and you hear electronics come to life. As a hard drive somewhere beyond the screen begins to whir loudly, the screen transitions from its boot screen to a password input screen. After everything you've been through, you're now one input away from getting the ship back online. Finally, all right. And enter. The final flourish, you strike the return key. An immense feeling of satisfaction fills you as you watch the computer work its way through the startup process. Names of systems show up and are followed by their status changing from offline to active. A faint draft runs down your neck, which you take to mean life support and ventilation is back online. All right, hold on, Cassie. The hell? Wait, what? No, come on! You're hit with a gut punch and panic as the visuals on the screen begin to warp. Fragments of text scatter and lines of code split and distort whilst a strange noise squeals from the machinery. Don't do this. Unsure of what's going on, but beginning to think that it's your fault, you look over the keyboard, again, repeatedly striking any key that seems like it may stop this process. And escape, pause. Come on. What's going on? Suddenly as it started, the computer's erratic activity ceases. The only document left on screen, Cassie's personnel file. Cassie's file? Wait, why? You pause, unsure whether you should do anything or leave it as is. You can tell from the ambient noise that has returned. The ship's back online, but why would the computer freak out like this? Why would it pull up Cassie's file? No! Doing your best to understand what you just saw, you tentatively reach a hand towards the keyboard. You're still unsure of what you could do to find out what just happened, but can't help but feel like whatever it was wasn't right. Sly, I need you on the bridge right now. You withdraw your hand, instead grabbing the radio to answer Lieutenant Lord. All right, I'm on my way back now. How's Lieutenant Quentin doing? There's no time for her. Get up here now. You curse under your breath as you turn to leave the room. You learn now that if Lieutenant Lord doesn't intend to be helpful, she won't be. Rather than attempt to argue, you make your way through the ship back towards the bridge. As the elevator doors hiss open, you step onto the bridge. You see Lieutenant Lord frenziedly flicking switches and turning dials on an instrument panel, stopping every so often to type commands into her station. Cassie, meanwhile, remains unconscious on the bridge floor. I'm here, Lieutenant. What else is wrong now? You hurry over to Cassie and kneel down, sliding your hands on her back and legs in preparation to pick her up and take her to the newly accessible sickbay. It's the O'Brien! With a single movement, you stand and bring Cassandra up from the floor. What about it? It's gone!